Hello and welcome to the Villa Park podcast. It's me, Rich, and I'm back with my main man, Max, for the Aston Villa Fans Forum. It's your chance to have your say. And also, we round up the latest news that's been going on in the Villaverse over the past week or so. So, get your comments in, get your questions in. There's been some interesting news that has broken today. I'm sure all Villa supporters are very, very happy with. Something that I think a number of Villa supporters have been waiting for a very, very long time, which we will get into. We'll also talk transfers. We'll talk the FA Cup draw and finally being in the fourth round, our thoughts on that, and then obviously getting your questions and comments. So make sure you guys smash that like button and smash that subscribe button. Help us continue our growth. We're on the road to 4,000 subscribers now. We're very, very close to 3,200 subscribers. So if you're first time watching or if you've been watching for ages and you haven't subscribed, first of all, what are you doing? Second of all, hit that subscribe button and make sure you smash the like button as well to help spread the word of the channel. Max, how are you doing, mate? Were you were on last week with Jack, weren't you? Or I think it was last week. The days seem to roll into one. So yeah, that was a great fan storm with Jack, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was not too bad. Thank you. How's it going
I'm
yourself?
very, very well. I'm very well. So yeah, thank you for jumping on. Loads in the chat already. Let's get on onto it. So remember, welcome to the fans forum. Hit the like button, subscribe to the channel. You know the drill. Duncan's in the house. Good evening, Duncan. The watcher is in the house. Hello, lads. Great to have you on board. The man with the golden gun. Yes, you have subbed and up the Villa, and you've become a member. So thank you very much for your support. Michael's in the house. Good evening. Rachel's in the house. Good evening to you as well. So let's get straight into it. Hayden is in the house as well. Cracking January transfer business by Aston Villa. A permanent swap deal. Castore for Adidas bargain. Duncan saying Adidas kit deal. Another great step. A proper kit. And a question from the watcher, which we'll come to in a second. Ethan's in the house as well. Hamid's in the house as well. Good evening, guys. Max, Adidas are now, well, as of next season, are going to be our kit supplier. What are your thoughts?
I mean, it feels like the first time we've had a proper kit provider since Nike left. Really, we had Macron, Under Armour. I mean, Luke was good, and then and Kappa was pretty awful as a general rule, and then now
Well, yeah, Kappa was awful for people of any size other than like athletes.
So I'm also. I mean, I like. I've got so much of jumpers and sweatshirts and crap like that. I'm just excited for that because if anything like Rome, I like Adidas's Roma stuff and their Arsenal stuff. So if it's anything like that, I'm going to have a large debt to the club in training wear.
Yeah. Well, this is the thing, let me just. I wanted to get the story up about it. So let's have a look at what the Athletic was saying. But yeah, Aston Villa strike new kit deal with Adidas to replace Castor from the 24-25 season. So at the moment, there's no specifics in terms of the value, but it just says a lucrative new kit deal with Adidas set to take over from Castor next season. We're currently in our second season with the British brand Castor after signing a multi-year contract in 2022, but we'll turn to the heavyweight German manufacturer in 24-25 after agreeing a long-term arrangement. We'll see Adidas, which is contracts with clubs including Man United and Real Madrid, provide kits for Villa's men's and women's teams, as well as academy sides. And apparently it was Nassif Sawiris who had a big say in it. Obviously, he owns around 7% of Adidas. He'd been exploring cutting short the agreement with Castore short because of the issues. Also secured by Chris Heck, obviously giving him some much needed credit, I think. So it doesn't give any specifics around kind of how much it's cost, how much Adidas are paying us, but it's going to be a big big deal, I imagine. And you've just said that yourself with regards to kind of the popularity of popularity of Adidas and the brand, surely it's going to give us a lot of sales of kit, of training kit, of all that sort of stuff.
I mean, well, like you've only got to look at Blues, right? And they've got Tom Brady and is it Tom Wagner as their owners and stuff now. I've got a friend who went to New York, and their sponsors are called Undefeated or something like that. And in the Undefeated shop, they were selling blue shirts in Times Square. So that's just from and I can't imagine that they'd be selling them if they were any old like Kappa or Macron or whatever. So it definitely makes a big difference, and I think it also it just it's more of an incentive for people to actually buy the shirt. So because people will buy them, because I haven't got any from this year yet. Anyway, I've got one from last year. And then maybe I've barely bought a shirt properly for the last few years because there haven't been one that don't fit. So that's always been a bit of and stuff like that. So I'd rather pay more money because they're probably going to be more expensive. I pay more money for an Adidas shirt than I would for however many Kappa shirts. That's for sure.
Yeah. Aurelio Gomez, Chats and Snacks is in the house saying Adidas link up was inevitable given the Suarez link. Cool. Michael said it's a great deal for Villa. Terry says up the Villa. Also, we've got Middlesbrough commentary going on in the chat as well. Middlesbrough are currently 1-0 up, and we're going to talk Chelsea in a bit as well. Michael said, "Who remembers Blues when they had Mark 1?" Yeah, I remember that one. I don't know I think it was before your time, Max. Yeah, but yeah, I mean, Adidas though, I did read somewhere that they have. I think it was someone posted on Twitter. They have different tiers as to where clubs fit on their kind of global scale, and I believe Newcastle have kind of been promoted to top tier, along with Real Madrid and Man United and the like. And then they've got a second tier, which is kind of still the part of the global network and has their own training kits designed and their own kit design. And then they have a lower tier that kind of is a template kits, and I think Wolves and Birmingham City and Leicester kind of belong in that category. Now, I would imagine that Villa will probably fall somewhere between the second tier and the first tier, depending on, obviously, if we make it into Champions League or something like that. Would you suggest that would be the case?
Yeah, I mean, I can't. Well, it's hard to know with Suarez being an owner of Adidas, it might boost our chances, but I can't see us being in that top category because that's I think Arsenal are probably the best team that they do work with, and obviously they're a massive global brand and stuff like that. So I can't imagine, because that one's more like custom to the club itself. That they don't use that type. Like Man United's kit's got the Manchester Roses and stuff like that on.
Yeah,
so
and they always do like concept kits as well, don't they? So Arsenal did a link up with some designer for Adidas, and I know Man United have done it. So yeah, I can't imagine maybe Villa kind of up to that level yet, but I don't think we'll be down in the kind of levels that, hopefully we'll be into Europe. We'll be fully in European competition, whether that be Conference League, Europa League, or hopefully Champions League. So you'd have to say that we should be in that kind of those higher tiers. I'm sure.
Yeah. Well.
Yeah.
Whatever the case is, I don't think it's going to be the same as like the Championship sides that are like just the templates. But then again, there's like Fulham and there's, I think, Wolves are they Adidas now as well? So, or they used to be at least. So who knows? It could be. I mean,
Wolves are Adidas, I'm pretty sure. Yeah.
I know, actually, they're Castor as well, aren't they? So we've got
they're Castor now. Yeah, that was an old. That must have been an old.
When they first got promoted, they were, weren't they?
Yes. Yeah. Okay. Well, look, it's going to be interesting, but I think it was potentially one of the worst kept secrets. I was thinking it was going to be New Balance, but obviously turned out to be Adidas. I think it's great news for where we want to go. I think it's a good PR move to put Chris Heck, responsible for it as well, because obviously, with the stuff going on with the lower grounds and the badge and all that kind of stuff, I think he needed a bit of
Need to win.
he needed a bit of PR. Yeah. Someone's asked a question. Protopia Sound, great to have you on board. It'll be the 150-year kit too. It has to be something special. So that again adds some extra gravitas to it. Being Adidas, whether they'll do something to do with the heritage, bring the heritage back, or whether they'll be a standard kit and a special 150 years kit. I mean, there's all sorts of stuff they can do for that next season, isn't there?
The first thing that came to my mind was it might be released at a normal time. We might not have to wait until the winter to see the shirt.
yeah. Like week before the season, when like it's always like a mad rush.
Pre-season in like just template Kappa shirts that one year. Like it's just ridiculous. We always release our shirt at the end of August, so hopefully now we might release it a bit earlier. But if you look on the website now, there's a big like countdown to the 150th anniversary season starting and stuff like that, and they've all got like different things. And it seems to think, well, it looks as if that the kit's going to be released quite early in conjunction with it starting. So maybe that's why the deal's going through so quickly, to try and get that sorted.
Yeah. I'd imagine so. And look, these type of things, I think as soon as there was a hint of this kit deal with Castor, maybe falling flat on its face, obviously then the players not being happy, the women's team not being happy, and all that kind of stuff, they would have been doing negotiations straight away. So it's certainly, I don't think it's a surprise, and I don't think it would have been done, last minute or anything like that. So look, it's a good situation. Lots of talk on favorite kits. David saying, hi guys, what's the Adidas talk? Is that confirmed? Just logged on. Yes, it is confirmed. It's all put out there. Rub's in the house. Good evening, mate. Gary says Henson and Hummel were his best kits. Who was someone else? Marine Boy said Henson kit never had a badge. Was that 1983, 84? Oh no. David said Lecoq Sportif was 83, 84. That was a favourite away top. Mark's in the house. Good evening, mate. Brilliant news on the Adidas deal today. Yes. Obviously, we also have the white European Champions kit, 1982. Gary says Chris Hegg's pulled him out of the shit with this one. Dunk says Reebok 95 still a fave. Yeah, I like them as well. Man with the golden gun said this is a good move of what to be in the higher end of European football. Yes, if we want to be in the higher end of European football, we have to look the part for sure. Gary said, are we doing 100 years without winning the FA Cup shirt? Well, look, it might be our year. It might well be our year. We'll get into that in a second. David said Adidas quality made, not like now a wet tea towel. Exactly. Nicholas said our owners have a stake in Adidas, so hopefully they will pay us over the odds so we can be FFP like other clubs. Marine Boy said he'd have loved a Fred Perry Villa shirt. That would have been nice in the casual line. Paul says it's been brewing for over a year with Adidas. Yeah, I think so. I think it's been quite a while. Joe said would have preferred Nike, but I'd certainly take Adidas, absolutely. And all follow John's advice here. Get the likes in, people, please. Smash the like button. We've got 70 people watching, which is fantastic numbers. So thanks very much. And keep your questions coming in. Super chats if you want to support the channel. And if you want to become a member, click the join button, just $1.99 a month, less than a third of the cost of a pint to become an official Villa Park Pod follower. So obviously Chelsea have been in the news today. Obviously just playing Middlesbrough, who we beat in the FA Cup on Saturday evening, 1-0, and Middlesbrough have beaten them 1-0 in the first leg of the Carabao Cup. Now we obviously were highly anticipating the FA Cup draw yesterday evening, Max, and as you could see, we didn't hit Man United. But as soon as that ball number came out, it was Chelsea at home. There'd been so many teams, and I just knew that ball number 18 was going to be called. and Aston Villa's name is read out. We're away at Stamford Bridge, but are they anything to be really feared in this FA Cup this season?
I mean, from a personal point of view, I just looked at it as away day fodder. A ground I haven't been to, just wherever it is, I'll take. Just because
Nice.
the only games you get into a cup game, so I wasn't too. But I mean, I don't think. I think to win the cup, if we're going to like go further in, we're going to have to play bigger teams, and there isn't that many big teams left. Because after this, if we win this round, there's no Chelsea, there's no Arsenal.
Well, there'll be there's no Chelsea, there's no Arsenal. Man City have got Tottenham, so one of those will be gone.
So you have Liverpool and Man United left, really the bigger names. If we go if we go through, that is, of course.
Well, yeah, exactly, and like you said just there, you've got to beat these teams. But I mean, just for whatever reason, and I'm just saying this obviously before we play them in a couple of weeks, but for whatever reason, it doesn't seem to be working with Pochettino. He doesn't seem to have that hunger. I don't know what it is, or whether it's just there's so many players at Chelsea. He has been a little bit unlucky with injuries. He hasn't necessarily been able to bring in all of his own players, but it hasn't quite been the kind of renaissance that he hoped it would be, and that they hoped it would be, him returning to the club. And they look pretty toothless, to be honest. You've got Mudryk, you've got Sterling, you've got Breuer, Nicholas Jackson's obviously away at the African Cup of Nations. They've got Nkunku, who's going to be injured for longer. They can't seem to catch a break with injuries, but they just don't seem to have that. I don't know. They just don't seem to have that kind of working in attack for them.
Yeah, I mean they're just a weird team, because some weeks I watch them and go, they finally clicked to something. They finally got it, and then the next week they'll look shaky and like kind of couldn't hit a barn door. So doesn't seem to be any rhyme or reason to what they're doing at the minute. They've got good players. There's no doubt in it. Looking at some of the names, that they have got good players. Like even their bench isn't so bad. Like for most people, I mean, I'll probably take a lot of their players at Villa, not so much in the starting 11, but definitely squad players. Like even like Breuer can't get a game there at the minute. Really, I'd probably take him as an option and stuff like that. So they've definitely got names, but as you say, it's not really clicking for whatever reason.
Yeah. Few comments coming in about them. CC in the house says, I'm fine with Chelsea. Bring it on. Poch versus Emery. Absolutely. Rachel said, we do have to respect them, as they did miss a lot of chances, but we can get at them. That's absolutely true. Heredia Gomez says, Chelsea with Poch are like Abbott and Costello, who's on first base. Sai says, I reckon we'll rotate a lot as we've priority game on the Tuesday after it versus Newcastle. He also says hi all.
We're not playing as many games at the minute, so that's not really an excuse. That doesn't really wash for me.
No, well, I was just about to say that in terms of like that, that kind of situation. Yes, we've got a bit of rest, but do you think now we've got that kind of monkey off our back, so to speak, with regards to the third round? And you now thinking like, look, it's time to really take the FA Cup seriously, because as you say, you get past Chelsea, number of Premier League teams go out. It could be chance to really attack this trophy.
Well, it's the same. I don't know how more people aren't frustrated with the Carabao Cup, to be honest, because Everton are now out, but they had Fulham. I can't remember who Fulham we got, but I can't remember thinking it was
Liverpool.
So, and then that's the semi-final. So we would want to beat Everton, probably beat Fulham, and then you're in a semi-final, but no one's talking about that. So I just want to do well. I mean, I think 2-3 wins away from Wembley, if you think about it that way, which doesn't seem so bad when you put it that way. So, and I always think they're professional footballers. They should be able to play. Let's say this game's on the Friday or the Saturday, and then Newcastle's is on the Tuesday. I think that's like 3 days in between games. That's not like a crazy turnover. And it's next game's not till February, like after that. So it's not really. I think should be going for it personally.
Yeah, no, I agree, and I think you saw that it meant a lot to Emery, and as I've said before on a couple of previous episodes, I think it was I was on Chad's podcast the other day, and he kind of mentioned it to me that it was one of Emery's most embarrassing moments of last season, just losing to Stevenage. So you could see that he really wanted to win that game, and you could see with the players, the celebrations at the end. They're up for it. They're wanting to do it. So it's all good to say like, oh look, we're not bothered about the cup. It doesn't really matter to us. But once you're in it, you want to win it. Like why wouldn't you?
I mean, we've won we've won one game, which felt like we'd won the whole thing. So
Exactly. It was so good. It was so good to experience that. And yeah, I just think if you can get through, if you can get past Chelsea, I think why not attack it, because there's quite a few there's quite a few draws with Championship against Championship. League One against like conference teams or whatever, National League teams. So we can beat Chelsea and then get a home tie against a potential Championship side or even a League One side. So it's definitely there for the taking,
I,
100%.
I do want to say, I don't know if obviously you went to the game, didn't you?
Yes.
I'm guessing you just like drove or got the train or whatever.
Yeah, I got the train.
So
Yeah,
I don't know if
Kev had to drive this time. He had to drive
I
from
don't know.
Birmingham to Middlesbrough.
So I don't know if anyone in the comments went to the game. If you went on a coach, right, this won't resonate with anyone other than me if no one did. But we got taken into a petrol station about 20 minutes from the ground, and the police took us to the ground from there at 20 miles an hour for the whole way.
Oh dear.
And we were just stood in this car park, all absolutely freezing. It was just in the middle of nowhere, just waiting for all these coaches to turn up. No one was saying what was going on. The police were just standing there looking at us as if we were crazy. We were there, and then they drove us there at like 20 miles an hour down this little country road. And then we got there, and the coaches were like parked in like little rows. So when we got out the ground, it was right in front of us, and there was like 4 rows of coaches that were all packed in. It was chaos. It was absolute chaos outside the ground.
Oh dear. Well, look, I guess it's one of those things where they're trying to deal with so many people to go. I mean, I know Newcastle had like I think it was something like 90 coaches, over 90 coaches going to the Sunderland game to bring 6. They had to go to St James's Park. Anyone had to go to St James's Park, get the coach from there, and then they got given their ticket at the ground when they got there. So yeah, there's all sorts of logistical situations that happen, but yeah, it was a good match. It was good being there, and I think it showed. I think that if that didn't show like the players that the fans, the FA Cup means a lot to the fans, then I'm not sure what will. So look, let's go and attack this competition. Chelsea are not the Chelsea of old. Yes, we're away from home. Yes, it's always going to be a tough game. And I'm pretty sure it'll be picked for the TV. So there's a chance it'll be a night game, which obviously adds to the atmosphere.
Friday night, apparently.
Yeah, but if we can get 6,000 of us there, then we can really like create a real atmosphere. And we've beaten them already this season. As I say, they're not the greatest going forwards. And I think with our tactics and with some of our players getting back to something like match sharpness, the likes of Moreno, the likes of Ramsey, we can really have a go at them. So yeah, absolutely. Guys, I'm just checking. We've got over 80 watching, which is phenomenal support. We've only got 29 likes, so please do smash that like button, guys. Help us spread the word of the channel. We've got 83 watching now, so that's fantastic. Hit the like button. Subscribe if you're new to the channel. We're well on the road to 3,200. I think we need about 40 more to get 3,200. We want to hit 4K as soon as possible. So continue supporting us. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, help get those likes up. So yeah, a few people in the chat just having conversations amongst themselves, which is great. But let's move into transfer talk. So Tesco Edits, who's in the house, are saying Villa aren't signing anyone this transfer window. And then who else? Ahmed said we definitely need a couple of players if we're going to go on all fronts, which I do absolutely agree with. and Lee's mentioned there that we're not a team. Sorry, Ethan mentioned we're not a team at the minute that can prioritise any cup when we haven't won one in a time yet. Exactly, but but to support that, like you said, it's one of those where we probably do need one or two players. Now, I've done a couple of transfer talk quick shows, like rounding up the transfers, and Cyril Ngong's been one of the names that has been mentioned. Dunk's saying he doesn't think that he's coming. I think there's been one or two other clubs in for him. But I was going to do a video today, but I've just been really busy. And thankfully, you've done a couple of pieces for your website, and you can plug your website in a bit, Max. But looking at a few players, so we had Spinazzola, a left back, who looks like he probably isn't going to come now. Jonathan David's been linked again. And then an interesting one, Artem Dovbyk of Girona. So they're the new fashionable club. They seem to be potentially being linked. And then another one for the future, maybe not in the positions potentially that we're looking at, but Ronnie Edwards from Peterborough is a very, very highly rated England under-20 international, I believe. So yeah, give us your thoughts on them, because you said you've done a few pieces on those players on your website.
Yeah, so he's available on a free come the summer, so he's more of like a Bozeman transfer for January rather than probably signing this. But then there's there's loads of teams interested, so that one's a bit of a, I think
Yeah,
Arsenal.
they're saying that he might be signing a contract with Roma again anyway. So it's
Yeah,
probably, I don't know if it's just to force the hand of Roma a little bit than
a lot
anything else. But
a lot of stuff we've been linked to feels that way, to be honest.
yeah, it always is though, isn't it? It's always Villa are probably the fashionable team out there, and they're doing well. You can talk about them signing someone, but yeah, it's usually just to kind of force a move. But yeah, let's humour each other anyway. Let's have a little look at Spinazzola, his terms of SofaScore rating. So compared into Luca Dean, so scores quite well compared to Luca Dean. Again, down that left-hand side, whether we need a left-sided player is another matter. 14 games played, started 11, 1 goal, 2 assists as well. So fairly consistent player. But for me, I don't really think we need a left back. 30 years old as well. You're probably looking at high wages. He probably doesn't fit the profile that we've got, although it's the Monchi link with Roma, etc., etc. Yeah, what's your thoughts on that?
It's not one that makes sense, because the whole point of the left back signing that they seem to be wanting is to not balance the books, but get Digne off the books pretty much, because he's on crazy money. I mean, he's been good and whatever, but for the money he's on, he's probably be worth, especially if like Saudi and stuff like that are interested. He's probably worth cashing in on and getting his wages off. But it doesn't make sense for Spinazzola anyway, because he'd only be the same. I can imagine he's probably on about 50 maybe Roma, so he'd probably be looking at close to 80, 100. So not one that makes sense for me, especially considering a similar age as well, really.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Striker is obviously an area that we're looking to improve, and Jonathan David, who was linked probably a couple of times across the last year or a year and a half, again been featured along with, I think it was us and I
Newcastle
can't
for
remember,
a bit.
was it maybe Newcastle, maybe West Ham on this particular time, maybe even Arsenal as well, but potentially linked. Currently 17 games played this season for Lille. He's still only 23 years of age. Started 14. He scored 5 goals so far this season. 1 with his head, 1 with his left foot, 3 with his right foot. Has got 1 assist. I'm not 100% sure on how well he's been playing this season. I know he had a break. I know he had a really good season a couple of years ago. Then had a difficult time. Then had a decent World Cup. He might be coming back to some sort of form this year. Is he kind of being touted around again, or is he just is it his agent maybe kind of looking to throw out a little bit of bait to see if anyone bites.
Well, the rumor is 35 million's enough to kind of test their resolve. I think I've seen that somewhere. So maybe, well, not maybe that was in the summer. That's how much he was getting chucked around for. So he'd probably be closer to 50 maybe now. I mean, he just seems to be one that keeps going round the mill over and over. Like last time, I was checking for the first report of him being linked to Villa, and it was like 2022 or like early like that. So it's been years really since we've been linked to him. So I think he would be. I mean, he'd be a good signing. Obviously, he's obviously a decent player. And he's young and stuff like that, but it seems a lot to spend on a player that's not guaranteed starts get like straight away, which I think is kind of what we need at this point. Because otherwise,
it seems a strange one because you either, I think people are talking about loans and stuff. Rachel says his agent talked with Jonathan David as he wants the Prem move, and Mark says Newcastle have been linked with him, but they have no hope with the FFP issues. But like, it's almost like there's manoeuvrings going on with Duran, and what happens with him? Do we loan him out with a view to buy, or with a loan fee that then does that free up some money or some space to get in like someone of a Jonathan David capability to come in on a loan with an option to buy, but then we've got other players on loan. So does that affect our quota? So yeah, it's I guess it's a difficult balancing act because, as you said, can you get someone for a cut price deal for the Premier League at this time of year, like a Jonathan David, or if you say he gets 10, 12, 15 goals for the season in the French league, he's going to command more fee later on in the year, depending on his contract. So do you go now or yes? There's lots of clubs there skating close or not wanting to risk that FFP tightrope is there because Nottingham Forest are potentially skating very, very close to the line. There's one or two other clubs, as Mark says, Newcastle, they're potentially skating close to the line. So yeah, it's a difficult one, isn't it, to kind of balance that structure.
I will say as well about David. Obviously, Lille are in the Conference League as well, so and they're probably one of the better teams left if they get through it. So it wouldn't be, maybe from that point of view as well, it's not the worst sign in the world to try and maybe potentially weaken them at the same time, strengthening us. Probably doesn't even enter anyone's mind. That's just what I thought about it when I saw it.
Yeah, no, it's a decent thought. If we want to go and win it, let's buy the team with its best player. So yeah, why not?
And sell them.
Yeah, exactly. Now, who else were we talking? The other one was Artem Dovbyk, who of Girona. Now, that's the one we haven't heard about before. Now, Girona are the team that are kind of, really taking if we're taking the Premier League by storm, they're certainly taking La Liga by storm.
Both in second place, their level top spot with Real Madrid and 42 points, I think, at this point.
Yeah. So, do you know much about this Artem Dovbyk?
He's got 16 goal involvements this season, so he's I think 11 goals, 5 assists. So
Wow.
So yeah, I think he's definitely not Ollie Watkins, is what I'll say. He's a big lad. He likes to just get in the box. I'm like looking at him. He's quite a big boy. I think he's looking for crosses now. Either you could say it won't suit us properly, or at the same time he's a point of difference for more difficult games like the Sheffield United game. Maybe we could have done with him to stick in there and just funnel some crosses in and see what, like, cause some chaos kind of thing. But with how well they're doing, I can't see them letting anyone go in January. I can't see anyone wanting to leave them.
They've got an opportunity to win the league. Like, if he's got 11 goals in 17 games, they're definitely not going to get rid of him. He's probably just after a contract extension or an increased pay. But yeah, looking at his record, Dnipro, 44 goals in 71 games, got to move to Girona, 11 in 17. Yeah, he's 6'2". He's a big lad, 26 years of age. He's like a John Duran, but like probably 6-7 years more mature. 23 caps for Ukraine, 7 goals.
If we're going for that type of player,
good player.
if we go for that type of player, I think it just needs to be someone a bit more proven in not so
Yeah.
much in the Premier League, but just in terms just big league. Because I think as well as he's doing, you can't judge someone on half a seat like half a proper good half season. Same thing
Yeah.
with Garassi at Stuttgart because he's available on like a £15 million release clause, but that probably wouldn't be a bad sign at that price. But at the same time, he's only had half a good season after a
Well,
few
that's
years.
it. That's it. Signing players after half a season. Teams have done that before.
He's done
I
that
know.
before.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, there's so many people in the chat. I'm going to try and get as
Lois
many as I
Openda
can
will
read.
not join Villa, by the way.
What's that?
Lois Openda from RB Leipzig. No,
Yeah. Not yet. Not
yeah,
yet. Not
no.
yet. Dream Villains in the house, late to the party, no problem at all. Great to have you on board. Make sure you smash the like button though. Dunk says Tammy remains an option. Is he back fit now?
I don't know. I don't really want him, but
Nah.
I feel
It's a tough one.
I mean, I wouldn't say like if we signed him, I'm not gonna like not be happy about it because it's Tammy Abraham. But
Yeah. Yeah.
if Roma are willing to let him go, that doesn't say very much to me as
Mm.
someone that doesn't watch Roma every week.
Ahmed said these guys that we're talking about won't come to Villa to sit on the bench unless we're in the Champions League. It's just so difficult. We're in such a difficult situation. Carson Girona won't say him in January. It's a difficult situation, isn't it? Because we want players to come in and improve us, or we want like additional options off the bench, like in terms of like good players off the bench. But then we don't want to upset the apple cart either. And then other teams that are in positions that we want to sign players that are potentially going to be better for us aren't going to want to let their players go. So
There is
it's
value.
almost like a catch-22.
I mean, there's value to be had in players that aren't guaranteed game time. Look at Werner going to Tottenham. That would have been. I mean, that would have
Yeah,
been great.
I wouldn't take him. No, there's
Would you
no way
not?
I'd
I
take
would. I
him.
think that would have
Nah,
been a great signing.
nah. He's a glory for me. He's a glorified Scott Hogan.
Well,
I just think that player, that type of player, like if you look at Hoyland as well, and it's not necessarily his fault at Man United, I will say, but those type of players just don't do it in the Premier League anymore because they just don't like. There's not enough space in behind, or not enough kind of people looking for those runs, and like the teams do. You've got to be an all rounder like Watkins, or you've got to be big player that can handle it up front on their own. And I just don't think like a Timo Werner. Look, he might prove me wrong, but for me, it ain't for me. Like we couldn't. Danny Ings couldn't do it with us. That fox in the box, that player who plays on the shoulder. There's just not enough space anymore. That the defenses don't give those type of players enough space for me. And like, yeah, he's got too much of the Scott Hogans for me. Timo Werner. He's just like, he's got those. He just reminds like the little legs running, and it's just like everyone just goes, oh, he makes great runs, but he doesn't get on the end of anything. Like, he just doesn't.
I thought Scott
do
Hogan
anything.
was getting a mention when we started talking.
Yeah, get him back. Yeah. Rob said if he does well at Spurs, it will be 100% due to Spurs system. You've got to admire their system, honestly. Some positions they can put anyone and they will shine. Yeah, maybe so. I do hope so. Gary said he's an offside merchant. Yeah, so we're getting loads. I will. The talk of Smith Rowe. I was going to do a bit of a feature on Smith Rowe. Now, is that a potential lazy link with regards to we've obviously been after him before. Unai Emery has managed him as well. Could we get him on kind of a loan with an option or a sort of cut price deal?
Well, I don't get it. I don't get signing a player that's not playing for a team that are below us. I know they're probably a better team than us technically, like on the technical level, but I don't. If he's not playing for Arsenal, then I don't see why we pick him. Especially, it's not that he's not playing for Arsenal. He's like literally isn't playing at all.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
He's coming with no minutes. He's going to be like he hasn't played properly for. I mean, even like lockdown. Like last time he was in good form was lockdown football, and that was. I wasn't talking 3 years ago now. I think he could be great if we sign him maybe if you sign him in the summer early on.
Get pre-season behind him,
but not now. It doesn't make sense for me.
Adamski said ESR would be great. David says Smith Rowe, Dean Smith target. Nope. Marine Boy says Smith Rowe wages is a massive problem.
He signed a new contract though at that point, so that's a different. And he got. They wanted to make him their star player with Saka. They gave him 10 and Saka 7, so that was their big point of view for that season. So
yeah,
that's a different story.
Rachel saying similar agreeing with you. Smith Rowe, not sure of, as don't see enough of him playing to know how he is physically. Yeah, I agree. Few people talk about Roberto Firmino and one of my choices, Kelechi Iheanacho.
Yeah.
That would, for someone who could come in as an like Firmino, I think the wages would be a massive problem. I would like him. Don't get me wrong. I mean, he's a class player. But I think for someone that we might be able to get after the African Cup of Nations, obviously depending on how Nigeria do now, I know they've got a lot of injuries. For someone who could come in and be an understudy to Ollie Watkins, but knows the Premier League, can score goals, can score different types of goals as well, and might be able to get you 5-6 goals off the bench. And Iheanacho for me is probably a decent option.
I mean, there's part of me that thinks it'd be a good signing, and there's part of me it's saying it screams Borja Baston, but I don't know why.
He's better than him, mate.
Yeah, well, that's the bar. I'm probably better than him.
Yeah, I know what you're saying there. I know what you're saying.
I think it'd be. I mean, being all right signing. I don't think you can't go far wrong with him. I don't think it's not going to tear down any trees. It's not going to be a Coutinho situation where people are watching planes to see if Kelechi Iheanacho is signing, but if there's nothing else coming and we need, I mean, there's comments saying Samatta back. Let's not go too far here.
Yeah, but yeah, it was Ahmed said his stats are pretty decent.
He's not really
play deep and link up play with Watkins. So yeah, I think they kind of rotate. I think he likes to only play one up front. So like sometimes Daka's played, sometimes Iheanacho's played. So yeah, it's it's one of them. Chris from the Evermore said, "Behave, Borja. Baston is a legend. Rudy Gested levels." Exactly, mate. Exactly. That's. I loved a bit of Rudy Gested. Yeah, there's a few, talking other players that like you're probably talking like Morgan Gibbs White, players like that. Great players, but they're just winners not going to be able to get them in it at this time. Bring some out Wesley. Yeah. It's just silly season with transfers, isn't it? Now, one that was talked about for more of the future, and one who is really highly rated across England is Ronnie Edwards. Now, I think Tottenham have been linked to him. I think every club under the sun have been linked to him. I think Darren Ferguson mentioned he's the best player he's ever worked with at Peterborough and across any clubs, in those lower leagues. Now, I think Villa were mentioned. I think probably looking at 10 million or something. I think Palace are looking to buy him as well. He's 20 years old. I think he might be England under 20s captain, centre back. It probably would be like a buy and then loan him back to Peterborough or something like that. And Barnet have got a 50% sell-on clause on him as well, so that would be good for them. What are your thoughts on that? Is that something that you think Villa are trying to get done, or is it again just we're linked along with a host of other clubs?
It doesn't scream out Emery, to be honest, or Monchi for that matter. Doesn't seem like the kind of deal that we're doing at the minute. He screams of Crystal Palace, or to me, he seems like the player that can't. He'll go there and start playing straight away instead of Anderson or something like that. Because they always, look at their team: Eze, Elise, Gehi. So they've got that the blueprint for signing those kind of players already there. So it's probably just like a generalised Premier League teams are interested in him. He's obviously a good player and whatever. I don't know. I can't pretend to know much about.
No. I know they played Leeds the other day and they lost 3-0. But yeah, it was just as soon as I saw that, I think Darren Ferguson was speaking on a podcast or something like that. And as soon as I saw that, he said he was the best player he's ever coached. I knew within like an hour that Villa's name would have been linked with him. I just knew it. But yeah, Peterborough's not too far away and that kind of stuff. So yeah. you never know. You never know. It could be something.
Probably.
But like you say, it's probably not it's not one that he would be coming into the team now. It's not a position that we really need to look at someone. But like, let's say, for example, you bought him, loaned him back, long lay, we don't buy at the end of the season. This guy could be like the fourth choice centre back or something like that. You never know for next season, like being 21, probably in the England under 21s, adds to the English players in the squad, etc., etc. So, you can understand the reasons for it. Now,
just seen a Henderson.
yeah, left field option, Jordan
Let's
Henderson in that
let's not.
central. It's
Let's,
wages. We're just never
it
ever going to
was
pay the
awful.
wages
It
that
was
the
awful.
guy's on.
He was Liverpool captain that won the Premier League, and they still just went, fancy going, go, please. So no,
Yeah, no,
please.
he'll do it. He'll go back to he will come back to a club in the Premier League, but I don't think it'll be going to be West Ham or something. Yeah, he ain't going to go to Newcastle. There's no way he's going to go to Newcastle.
Crazy.
No chance. No, talking of like players, we obviously talking of incomings, we could talk outgoings, but someone who is coming back, apparently, whose loan hasn't worked out in Qatar, is Philippe Coutinho. Now, the word is into Miami or potential Saudi clubs. Is there any chance that he makes a comeback at Villa at all, or do you think that ship has well and truly sailed? And Rachel's apparently we get 25 million euros if he comes back to us as well. So that's not a bad little.
They've got to pay to cancel his loan,
right?
I don't know who managed to write that into a contract. If he's crap, you have to pay us, right? I don't know who put that in a contract, but that's beautiful. Whoever managed to squeeze that one in, that's crazy.
Yeah, absolutely. Adamski said Inter Miami says the link isn't real. Tesco Edit saying Coutinho had squad depth, sell him in the summer, use him now.
He can't score in Qatar,
but Duncan said he's injured at the moment. So, well, that doesn't mean that would indicate that we're not going to be able to get him anywhere really.
He can't. He can't score in Qatar. He's not going to come and play in the Premier League. There's not. I can't see. I mean, as much as I wish he could work something out and whatever, because because even when he wasn't great, like that Arsenal game, that when he got that injury, he was like unplayable, and that was about as good as he played. And then
he played. He played earlier this season, didn't he, against Everton? He looked really sharp, and then that's when he pulled up with that injury, wasn't it?
So he just hasn't done himself any favors either by going to. I mean, it's not even. I was going to say C-rate league. That's been quite nice. I don't even know what. Don't know what it is, but he hasn't done himself.
I just think Villa were like, look, you need to find somewhere, and then the offers came in or whatever. But it's difficult. It's difficult for him because we saw little flashes of absolute amazing brilliance, but it's just too much to take on board with the injuries, and then you factor that with one or two other Mings being injured this season as well, Emi Buendia being injured. It's too much to carry that kind of setup really. Hopefully someone like Buendia is going to come back and be featuring sort of end of Feb, start of March, which would be huge for us, because
that would be great.
You see these teams playing more deep against us, and you think that's where a Buendia would be ideal. But it's just a shame because Coutinho would have that bit of brilliance for like the last 15-20 minutes that we probably need against these teams that play so deep. But you just can't afford to play him.
No, not as I say. He had his go, and then he had his go again, and then just can't keep fit as much as he might have looked good in certain flashes and stuff like that. If you can't keep fit, then it's a waste of everybody's time, because that's not going to help anybody in just being in and out.
Yeah. Rub said if even in Qatar we could not follow, that tells a lot, like you say. What about other outgoings, like the likes of? Are you hearing anything on the likes of Imre Bonham? Are you hearing anything on the likes of Dendoncker, Chambers? Anyone that any takers for any of those players?
I mean, I don't see a world where Dendoncker leaves. that one's not really been spoken about. There's Traore and Chambers are the big ones that have been spoke about leaving, but I just don't see who comes in for them. To be honest, I don't see like Chambers hasn't played, and when he has, he's looked dreadful. Even though, I mean, under Gerrard, he looked class, and now he looks like
well, there was that pre-season where he looked really good, wasn't there? And we thought, he could really challenge for the first choice centre back spot. But yeah, he's just. I think it's that high line that we play. Well, we play so much higher now. He just struggles with anything in behind just because of his lack of pace.
Yeah.
And then you think, well, maybe you could cope with that kind of position in front of the back four because he can pass the ball. But you've got Kamara. It's such a downgrade. I mean, Dendonker's a decent player, but you see the difference from a Kamara to a Dendonker, and it's just night and day. Oh no, they're different types of players. Absolutely.
There's a lot of. I mean, people in the chat are genuinely saying that Irabonum should be playing instead of Dendonker, and Dendonker should be let to go. I mean, if you've watched Irabonum play for QPR, Irabonum is not like a 6. He's definitely
he plays further forward, and he can be more
skillful.
Box, yeah.
He's like more like a Louise type role, so it's not even like a relatively close comparison. And he needs another loan because as soon as Michael Beale left QPR, he wasn't that great there either. So he hasn't actually played a proper full season.
He might rejoin him at Sunderland. You never know.
Well, they've been linked to Lamre Bogard as well because he's
they have.
He's been called back, so maybe that's a link to be used. Maybe that might not be. But then again, I don't know if they need, based on their squad, they need some experience because they've got a lot of cool players that I look at and go, oh, their team's quite interesting, but doesn't, as you've seen against Newcastle, doesn't really always work.
It's just one of those. Again, it's just such a strange one. We know we've got some really highly saleable assets, but you're not going to get rid of them in January, or you're not going to let one of them go in January. And then we've got young players that can go for certain bits of money or loan with option to buy, which obviously help with FFP. But then what you have is like a level of player that is kind of, yes, fair enough. They might play the odd game or they get in the odd squad, but they're earning decent money, like 50, 60, 70, 80K a week. But you just can't get them. You can't get them anywhere. They're just not going to be able to be worth any money for you.
I did a piece on when Villa played Liverpool in COVID, and it was we had to play the kids that one game. I did a piece on it the other day. I think there's only four players that are still with the team, like the club at all, from the whole squad.
Yeah, well, Bogard, I mean that's probably
Bogard,
good.
Yeah, Bogard, Barry, Kessler, Hayden, and Ben Christine, and they're all out on loan, and probably not going to play for the first team at any point. Maybe Barry might, but I can't really see.
No, I think maybe Krasin's probably got the better chance out of all of them. Mate, Bogard's very highly rated, so maybe one of those two. I don't think Barry. I think we'll get money for him because I think he'll do well at other players.
It's really weird because I follow because I've got quite a few mates that support Bristol Rovers and followed them a lot last season, and he was class for them last season. So I don't know what's gone down the pan so quickly for him to be recalled.
I think they want him at a higher level club.
No, but they've got a new manager that's not playing. Because they got rid of Joey Barton, who was playing him every week, and we've got Matt Taylor now. Sorry to mention Joey Barton, by the way. Sorry. Now they've got Matt Taylor, who's just not playing him at all for whatever reason. So I don't know what's gone on there. I think, but Dan Hargreaves from the Bristol Live seemed to think that was always the plan anyway, that he wasn't staying past January, no matter what the result was. So who knows?
Yeah. A few comments. Rachel said, I can see Tim being sold for FFP. Tesco Edit said, Bertrand Traore has one more screamer in him before he leaves in the summer. Yeah, hopefully. Apparently there's a Monchi documentary as well that Rachel's talked about. So check that out, guys, if you haven't seen that. Dale says, Tim to be sold. To be fair, agree with Rach. Paul said, apparently we're willing to pay the 35 million release clause for Frimpong. That'll be good, but I think that'll be more towards the summer. Duncan said Eric Bonham is a loan/sell player. Dream Villain said, if so, is Courtney Hall still on the books? If so, ship him off or terminate contract. He is. He's back.
Training.
Emery's allowing him to train. So, yeah, it could be a little loan move for him. Adamska's Barry has beefed up. Yes, he has. Yes, he has. Yeah, as in reference to Hawes, Emery wants to get him fit to sell him. What else have we got here? Yeah, Tesco says Louis Barry's finished, not the player we want him to be. And also, just as an aside, just to kind of mention, Dominic Calvert-Lewin is free to play against Villa now, so he had his loan, he's sending off rescinded. So yeah, Calvert-Lewin will be playing. Although I think is it Dwight McNeil that's injured? I think he got a pretty bad injury.
Hopefully,
yeah.
Not hopefully. Well, hopefully for Villa's sake.
Yeah, I'm going on Sunday actually to Everton, so I'm looking forward to that. We should hopefully get the result there. But we're going to do a full match preview on the Everton game coming up later this week, probably Thursday or Friday. So do look out for that. Mate, any other news? I think someone asked about Tielemans as well. Any news on his fitness? And I think someone in the chat was saying potentially the January end of January Newcastle game that might penciling in.
Another Aston Villa injury where no one gets told anything about them, and then they're just gone forever for some reason, but no one knows what the reason is.
I think Rachel mentioned it in the chat the other day. I think she might have said calf injury.
He was supposed to be back a few weeks ago, and then Emery said, "Oh, he won't be back for 2 weeks." And then 2 weeks goes by. Oh, he's not fit for this game. It's like happens all the time for whatever reason with us. I don't know what it is. I don't know why we have to beat around the bush with things. Because it happened.
Yeah.
It happened with someone.
Yeah, well, I'm hoping that at least Pau Torres will be back fit, and then and it'd be great if in a couple of weeks' time, I don't think it's worth us rushing Tielemans back for this Sunday if we then got a 2-week break. Gary did that joke the other day. What's he doing with a calf injury? But yeah, I think it's not worth that, because if he gets another 2 weeks rest and can maybe make some sort of appearance against Chelsea, then we might as well give him that rest. But yeah, I think Torres is a must in this game, and just early indication, I'd be looking at Torres and Konsa centre back partnership and just go solid and I think just get the game won. Louise has had a bit more rest. Kamara's had a game to get his fitness back. Like, let's go for it, man. We just gotta go for it. Yeah.
Kamara was unreal, so he hasn't dropped anything off.
Nah, exactly. Right, I think that does us, mate. I think it's like I say, it'd be good to see. It's great to get Adidas.
There's so many mental shouts going on. I don't know.
Oh, Matty Target. Yeah.
I was stepped in a time machine.
He's still injured. He's still injured with Newcastle. So
we've
had
Scott Hogan, Samatta. We've had plenty. Matt Target. Now we've had plenty of shouts.
Yeah, HH, thanks for joining. Opinions on the Adidas rumors, we're getting them. We're in with Adidas. We've talked about that at the start. So yeah, get involved in the chat from the start. But yeah, that does us. We'll be back later on this week for a match preview for Everton, which we're looking forward to. Hopefully some transfer roundups. I might do a little bit of a shorter video rounding up those players that we've kind of discussed today, the likes of Jonathan David, Artem Dovbyk, and the like. Was it Ronnie? What's his name? Ronnie Edwards. So I might do a video in the morning based on that. There's so much in the chat. I can't take my eyes off the chat, but we're gonna have to finish up there. But this is what the fans forum's all about. It gets a bit random. It gets a bit jokey, which is great. That's what we want it. That's what we want it to be. Guys, make sure you smash the like button. Hit the subscribe button. If you're new to the channel, we've had over 100 watching tonight, which is absolutely fantastic. So thank you so much. And we're looking to get more guests on as well on the fans forum. So some weeks it'll just be us guys chewing the fat, and sometimes we'll get a guest on. Hopefully once a month we'll do that. And I'm also hoping to get our friend of the channel, Tom Colomossi, from Daily Mail Sport, Midlands correspondent, to come on and do some questions around the January transfer window. So do look out for that video as and when he gets time. I will release. I will get that out as soon as I've had a conversation with him. So thank you all for watching. Thank you for your support. Smash that like button. Get subscribing, and as always, remember, we all follow the Villa. Thanks, everyone.